It was 1994, Rwanda. Genocide was erupting. A young girl, barely 13, hid under corpses for days, surrounded by death, praying for life. She had no food, no voice, just faith. Fast forward years later, that same girl stood on a global stage, testifying, healing, lifting others who were broken. Her name? Immaculée Ilibagiza. A remnant, a survivor, a witness. She wasn't born into safety, she was born into chaos. But she didn't run, she rose. And that is the heartbeat of today's story. Because whether it's Naomi in Moab, Ruth in the shadows, Mordecai at the gate, or Esther in the palace, the truth remains. Doesn't need perfect people. He just needs willing ones. And just like them, you were born for such a time as this. Stay with me.
Hi there. Thank you for joining in today. If it's your first time here, welcome on board. Please remember to subscribe for more clips. It is Q2E11, and today we are exploring the topic Ruth and Esther. Let's get into it. Take a good look around you. What do you see? Our world is not just declining, it's unraveling. Even the unbelievers will tell you it's not getting any better. And it's happening so fast. You don't believe me still? Turn on your television or tune into your radio. War-torn cries echo across borders. Natural disasters now on the increase. Earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes are rewriting our coastlines. Diseases we cannot cure all over the place. Families cannot even feed. Mortality climbing like smoke from an invisible fire. And on it goes.
And in the midst of all that, famine walks in silence. There's hunger in the land. But you know what? This didn't just start today.
Absolutely. In Ruth chapter 1 verse 1 we read, "Now it came to pass in the days when the judges governed, that there was famine in the land. Elimelech of Bethlehem, desperate, disoriented, abandons the land of bread for Moab, a place drenched in idol worship."
Moab? As in, they left God's land for idol country?
Yes, KC, with his wife Naomi and his sons. Elimelech does not just relocate, he escapes in search of greener pastures. What started as survival will soon become sorrow.
Whoa. Can you tell me more about this? What happened next?
Brace yourself. It begins with famine, relentless choking famine, in Bethlehem. Elimelech, a man desperate to protect his family, makes a bold decision. With Naomi, his wife, and their 2 sons, he flees to Moab, enemy territory. Food, not faith, drives their journey, but what starts as survival quickly spirals into tragedy. The moment Elimelech sets foot in Moab, the shadows begin to gather. First, he dies. Naomi becomes a widow in a strange land. Her sons try to carry on. They marry Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. For a heartbeat, there's hope. But then, like thunder on a sunny day, both sons perish. No husbands, no heirs, just 3 widows and a silence so heavy you could choke on it.
That's heartbreaking. What does Naomi do? Did they go back?
Well, word reaches her. The Lord has visited his people, with bread. That phrase is not just news, it's a call to come home. Naomi rises and decides to return to Bethlehem. At the border, she turns to the only family she has left, her daughters-in-laws. Go back, she pleads. Even if I bore sons tonight, would you wait?
Did they go back?
Not all of them. Orpah weeps, kisses her, and walks away. But Ruth doesn't budge. She clings with words that echo across time. Where you go, I'll go. Your people will be my people. Your God, my God. And just like that, two widows walked the dusty road to Bethlehem. One broken, one brave, both chosen.
The journey back to Bethlehem was slow. Two widows, one dragging sorrow like a shadow, Naomi, bitter and broken. The other, Ruth, quiet but resolute. As they reach Bethlehem, heads turn. Whispers ripple through the streets. Is that Naomi? She does not hide her pain. Do not call me that. Please call me Mara, meaning bitter. I left full, but I have returned empty. The story did not end well, at least not yet. Elimelech, buried in the foreign land. Mahlon and Chilion, gone too. A whole family fractured by famine. And Naomi, she returned with scars you cannot see. The trauma of migration, the sting of loss, hope swallowed up by grief. She had left Bethlehem searching for a better life, an experience I'm sure that most of us can appreciate. But she came back with just a memory and a Moabite girl. And yet, Naomi's heartbreak is not just ancient history. It is everywhere. On our streets, on your feed, in your life, wars, disasters, diseases, depression, hunger. We are surrounded by suffering. It's like we've grown numb to the pain.
It is almost impossible to imagine it wasn't always like this. In the beginning, Eden, a world flawless and free. No death, no hunger, no loss. Creation flourished, as long as humanity obeyed his creator. But then, rebellion. And everything flipped. Nature turned on us, suffering invaded paradise, and from that moment on, the world has been on a downhill spiral. We see it, we feel it. But here's the twist. God uses stories like Naomi's to remind us He sees, He cares, He restores. Even in sorrow, God is writing something bigger, and understanding that helps us see the prophecies to come, not as scary predictions, but faith-building previews of hope and healing.
For instance, the story of Naomi and in extension, Ruth. Like Naomi, we were dispossessed, stripped of the inheritance that God gave us. Eden, once ours, was forfeited. A gift of immortality, divine health, and all the privileges of His presence, all gone. Why? Well, because we chose rebellion, freedom from God, and the crushing burden of self-rule.
And with that one choice came the fallout. Corruption, competition, scarcity, suffering. Now, instead of subduing an unfallen world under divine blessing, we're wrestling with a broken one under human greed. A survival game, every man for himself. A rat race with no finish line.
So, this is why everything feels broken? Why it all hurts?
Exactly. Let's be honest, we've all tasted it and it stinks. But don't miss the point. Even in the chaos, God is weaving something bigger. Through the mess of Moab, the pain of Naomi, the loyalty of Ruth, a redeemer is coming. But not just for them, for you and for me and for this entire broken world. Stay with me because what happens next will blow your mind.
So, how do we get out of this situationship? This downward spiral of brokenness, grief, and survival.
Let's go back to Naomi. She had hit rock bottom, emotionally, financially, spiritually, empty, exhausted, exiled. But something stirred within her. If I'm going to suffer, I might as well do it at home. And with Ruth by her side, she limps back to Bethlehem. No wealth, no status, just scraping to survive.
But here is where the story turns. There was land that belonged to her late husband Elimelech. But under Israelite law, Naomi could not claim it outright. She needed a redeemer, someone from the family line to step in, cover the costs, and restore the inheritance.
Enter Boaz. Not just a generous farmer, not just a nice guy with extra grain. He's family. He's a kinsman redeemer. And he's not just qualified, he's willing. This was not just a chance encounter in a barley field. This was providence.
Boaz does not just redeem land, he redeems Ruth. And in doing that, he restores Naomi's legacy from bitter to blessed, from broken to beloved. Yes, they lived happily ever after. But hold on.
This isn't just their story, is it?
Nope, this is our story too. Stay tuned, because it's about to get even deeper.
This is the gospel in disguise. Because Naomi's story is ours. We've been dispossessed. We traded paradise for a world of pain. And now we live on spiritual scraps, gleaning fragments of joy in a broken world. But then something changes. We make a discovery.
God hasn't abandoned us. He's watching. He's waiting. And like Boaz, Jesus steps in. It gets more interesting. God didn't just send help, He became it. Jesus, God in human flesh, became one of us, a real breathing, hurting, bleeding kinsman. He didn't just pay the price, He paid it with His life, humiliated, beaten, crucified, to buy us back.
So, we're not just rescued, we're wanted?
Yes, that's the good news. Despite our spiritual poverty, He wants us. He calls us His bride. This is not just about salvation, it's about identity, inheritance, restoration, home. Daniel summarized it this way: judgment was given in favor of the saints. Daniel 7:22. Why? Well, because the price was already paid. Through Boaz, God shows us what life without Him looks like: bitter, broken. How He plans to fix it by becoming one of us. and just how far he's willing to go to bring us home. This is not just a story, it is a rescue mission.
Fast forward to another story, another stage, another crisis. Esther 3 opens like a calm before a storm. Mordecai had just saved the king in chapter 2, verses 21 to 23. But now, in verse 1 of chapter 3, enter Haman, an Agagite, ambitious, dangerous. He's promoted, second in command. By royal decree, everyone must bow before him.
Whoa, so everyone bowed?
Well, everyone. Except one man. His name? Mordecai, a quiet Jew at the king's gate. He refuses. No compromise, no apology. Because for him, worship belongs to God alone.
Every time Haman walks by, Mordecai stands tall, unbending. At first, Haman tries to ignore him, but pride never dies quietly. When he discovers Mordecai's identity, an ancient hate erupts. You see, Haman is an Agagite. His people were nearly wiped out by the Jews under King Saul. So to Haman, Mordecai's defiance is not just personal, it's historical. It's war. And so Haman does not just want Mordecai dead, he wants every Jew exterminated.
That's genocide. Surely the king wouldn't agree to that.
You'll think, right? But Haman is clever. He casts lots, Purim, to choose the luckiest date for slaughter. Then he slides into the king's court, dripping with lies. Your Majesty, he says, there is a scattered group of people, strange, disloyal, dangerous. Just let me deal with them. I'd even line up your treasury with silver.
Wait, he bribed the king?
Exactly. The king, like many politicians, seemed more interested in profit than principle. And without reading the fine print, he slides off his signet ring, hands it over Haman. Ultimate power. Just like that, genocide is legalized. Decrees are written, riders dispatched. Across 127 provinces, the death sentence races like wildfire. God's people marked for extinction. The empire holds its breath as evil takes center stage.
The day is set, the 13th day of the 12th month. A single decree echoes across the empire like thunder before the storm. Lethal as lightning. Kill, destroy, annihilate. Not just soldiers, not just rebels. Every Jew, young, old, men, women, even babies. As long as you are Jewish, you're marked. As the decree gallops across provinces, inside the palace, something chilling unfolds. Haman and the king, they are drinking, smug, smiling, toasting genocides, even taking selfies, celebrating the unthinkable. But outside, the city of Susa is in chaos. The Jews are confused, mournful, paralyzed with fear. The people tremble. They do not even realize that their only hope is already in the palace. A queen, a Jew, and her moment is coming. In the meantime, here are some takeaways from the story thus far. We'll take turns. Doodle, you go first.
What to remember thus far? 1. Unregulated power corrupts. Ever read Ezekiel 28, verse 11 through 15, and Isaiah 14, verse 12 through 15, we meet Lucifer, majestic, radiant, and proud. But pride always wants more. In heaven, he wanted the throne. On earth, he offered it to Jesus for worship, Matthew 4. "Bow to me," he whispered. Sound familiar? That's Haman, a man elevated, but not satisfied. He didn't just want honor, he wanted adoration. And when Mordecai wouldn't kneel, that wasn't defiance to him. That was a declaration of war. Real life lesson? Beware of pride and the insatiable need for validation. Pride never stays small. It almost always imperceptibly grows into rebellion if unchecked. Tone it down.
Number 2, one man's obedience can expose darkness. Revelation 13 tells us Satan's obsession with worship leads our world to the final crisis. His deceptions convince the world to marvel and follow the beast whose wound has been healed. In Revelation 13, verse 3 and 4, everyone bows except a faithful remnant. Just like Mordecai, he picked no fight, did not shout, he just stood. And his quiet obedience enraged Haman and exposed a murderous heart. In like manner, Revelation 13 makes it crystal clear that when the seduction of compromises is consistently shunned, Satan will resort to force and violence on the faithful remnant. Real life lesson? Faithfulness, even when silent, shines light on evil and provokes opposition. Do not underestimate the power of one obedient life. Hopefully, that's you. So friends, stay faithful, even when it's unpopular.
Number 3, history repeats in prophecy. Here's what blows my mind. The story of Haman and Mordecai is not just history, it's prophecy in disguise. Revelation 13 echoes Esther's story. Satan will use deception, then force, against those who won't yield to false worship. End-time relevance? Standing for truth now prepares us to stand when it's hardest. The same pattern of persecution will resurface. We've seen it before, we'll see it again. Remember this.
Number 4, worship is the final battleground. Look closely at Revelation 13, verse 4 and verse 15. Verse 4 reads, "And they worshipped the beast." Verse 15, "And caused as many as would not worship to be killed." As things begin to wrap up here, Satan's final attack centers on who gets worshipped, God or the beast. What to remember here? Though important, worship is not just about the cycle of weekly gatherings, Sabbath school, singing, or kneeling. It's about loyalty, identity, and allegiance. Who do your daily choices honor?
Number 5, the small tests prepare for the big ones. Let's be real, we all face them. That white lie, a shortcut nobody sees, that just this once moment of compromise. Thing is, if you bend in peace, you'll break in crisis. Lesson? The real battle is won or lost long before the decree goes out. Your faith muscles are being trained right now. Today's obedience is tomorrow's survival.
Wow, so even the little stuff really matters?
More than you know. Those little decisions, they're seeds. Seeds of your stand or your surrender. So, plant wisely. Practice faithfulness now.
Bottom line is this: the remnant will be targeted. In Revelation 12, verse 17, the dragon is furious with the woman, God's church. He goes off to make war with her offspring, those who keep God's commandments and hold fast to Jesus. Sound familiar? Just like Mordecai and the Jews were singled out for extinction, the faithful few, the remnant, will stand in the crosshairs. But know this: if you live counter to the crowd, expect opposition. We may stand alone, but never without God. He's done it before, he'll do it again. Deliverance is on the way.
It's easy to panic when prophecy turns dark. When you hear words like plague, persecution, mark of the beast, yeah, they make our hearts skip, our palms sweat. But here's what we often miss. Prophecy isn't just about the storm. It's about the rescue. It includes both the problem and the promise. Yes, the Bible reveals the plot twist, but it also tells us how the story ends. John puts it this way: in the land, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. John 16:33. So, don't stop reading at the crisis. God always writes in hope. The last chapter is not terror, it's triumph.
No. In Persia, Esther steps up. In Bethlehem, Ruth rises to the occasion. Both allow God to use them to bring deliverance to God's people. In like manner, you were not born by accident. You were not here by a cosmic coincidence. Just like Esther did not choose her moment, but she rose when it came. You've been placed in this timeline for a divine reason. You were not meant for Paul's missionary journey or Luther's Reformation. This is your moment. You were born for this hour. Let that settle in. Remember Mordecai's words: if you remain silent, deliverance will arise from another place. Esther 4 verse 14. God's plan is not on trial. His victory is not uncertain. The only thing hanging in the balance is whether you will rise to the occasion or be replaced by someone who will.
In Revelation 12, God's people aren't just random bystanders. They're pictured as a woman, a bride, being pursued by the dragon. But you will notice, she's not helpless. She's not abandoned. She's beloved. The King of the universe defends his bride. She's not cowering. She's covered.
Wait, so we're not just victims in all this?
Far from it. We are heirs. We're the reason the dragon is angry, because he knows what's coming. People read Revelation and all they see are beasts, but the Lamb is always center stage. Prophecy is not designed to make people paranoid. It's meant to make you prepared. So let Jesus, not dread, lead your decisions. Esther's story ended in celebration. Yours might come with scars. Scars are not proof of failure. They are signs of survival. You may not always see the win right away. That does not mean God is not working. It just means that you are still in the middle of the story. So, hold on. Look up. The end game is already settled and it's in your favor. The mindset? Do not define God's goodness by today's discomfort. Define it by eternity's perspective, because in the end, long-term hope beats short-term panic, always. And that's a wrap, folks. This week's journey ends here, but next week, we will be exploring the topic pre-courses. Until then, keep sharing the gospel like lives depend on it, because they do. This is your Sabbath School Doodle, doodling out. Let's keep making it make sense, one truth at a time.
Thanks for riding with us today, friends. If today's study stirred your heart or sparked your thoughts, go ahead, like, comment, and share this with someone who needs a word right now. And hey, if you haven't yet made that life-altering decision to follow Christ, you still can. But don't wait. The clock is ticking, and grace is calling. I'll catch you next week, God willing. Until then, remember, we're still auditioning to take over in heaven. No retreat, no surrender.